Together with Bonaire and Curaçao, Aruba forms a group referred to as the ABC Islands. Aruba is a constituent country of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, physically located in the mid-south of the Caribbean Sea, about 29 kilometers north of the Venezuelan peninsula. Collectively, these and the other three Dutch substantial islands in the Caribbean are often called the Dutch Caribbean, of which Aruba has about one-third of the population. In 1986, it became a constituent country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands and acquired the formal name the Country of Aruba. Aruba is one of the four countries that form the Kingdom of the Netherlands, along with the Netherlands, Curaçao, and Sint Maarten. The citizens of these countries are all Dutch nationals. Aruba has no administrative subdivisions, but for census purposes is divided into 8 regions. Its capital is Oranjestad. Unlike much of the Caribbean region, Aruba has a dry climate and an arid, cactus-strewn landscape. The climate has helped tourism because visitors to the island can expect clear sunny skies all year. Its area is 179 square kilometers and is quite densely populated. A January 2019 estimate of the population placed the census at 116,000. Aruba is a generally flat, riverless island in the Leeward Antilles island arc of the Lesser Antilles in the southern part of the Caribbean. It lies 77 kilometers west of Curaçao and 29 kilometers north of Venezuela's Paraguana Peninsula. Aruba has its white sandy beaches on the western and southern coasts of the island, relatively sheltered from fierce ocean currents. This is where the bulk of the population live and where most tourist development has occurred. The northern and southern coasts, lacking this protection, are considerably more battered by the sea and have been left largely untouched. The hinterland of the island features some rolling hills such as Hooiberg at 165 meters and Mount Jamanota, the highest on the island and 118 meters above sea level. Oranjestad, the capital, is located towards the northwest of the island. The Natural Bridge was a large, naturally formed limestone bridge on the island's north shore. It was a popular tourist destination until its collapse in 2005. Most of the island's population resides in or around the two major city-like districts of Oranjestad and San Nicolas. Oranjestad and San Nicolas are both divided into 2 districts for census purposes only. The isolation of Aruba from the mainland of South America has fostered the evolution of multiple endemic animals. The island provides a habitat for the endemic Aruban whiptail and Aruba rattlesnake, as well as an endemic species of burrowing owl and brown-throated parakeet. Aloe vera is also present, its economic importance earning it a place on the coat of arms of Aruba. Cacti like Melocactus and Opuntia are represented on Aruba by species like Opuntia stricta. By the Köppen climate classification, Aruba has hot semi-arid climate. Rainfall is scarce, only 300 mm per year. In particular, rainy season is drier than it normally is in tropical climates. During the dry season, it almost never rains. Owing to the scarcity of rainfall, the landscape of Aruba is arid. Mean monthly temperature in Oranjestad varies little from 27 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, moderated by constant trade winds from the Atlantic Ocean, which comes from the northeast. Aruba's official languages are Dutch and Papiamento. While Dutch is the sole language for all administration and legal matters, Papiamento is the predominant language used on Aruba. Papiamento is a Portuguese and Spanish-based Creole language spoken on Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao that also incorporates words from Dutch and various West African languages. English and Spanish are also spoken, their usage having grown due to tourism. Other common languages spoken, based on the size of the community, are Portuguese, Cantonese, French, and German. In recent years, the government of Aruba has shown an increased interest in acknowledging the cultural and historical importance of Papiamento. Although spoken Papiamento is fairly similar among the several Papiamento-speaking islands, there is a big difference in written Papiamento. The orthography differs per island, with Aruba using etymological spelling and Curaçao and Bonaire a phonetic spelling. Around 13% of the population today speaks Spanish natively. Use of English dates to the early 19th century when the British took Curaçao, Aruba, and Bonaire. When Dutch rule resumed in 1815, officials already noted wide use of the language. Aruba is one of the overseas countries and territories of the European Union and maintains economic and cultural relations with the European Union and the United States. Aruba is also a member of several international organizations such as the International Monetary Fund and Interpol. Defense of Aruba is the responsibility of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The Dutch armed forces that protect the island include the Navy, Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard, including a platoon-sized National Guard. Aruba's educational system is patterned after the Dutch system of education. The government of Aruba finances the public national education system. Schools are a mixture of public and private. There are 3 medical schools: American University School of Medicine Aruba, Aureus University School of Medicine, and Xavier University School of Medicine, all as well as its own national university, the University of Aruba. The island's economy is dominated by 4 main industries: tourism, aloe export, petroleum refining, and offshore banking. Aruba has one of the highest standards of living in the Caribbean region. The GDP per capita for Aruba was estimated to be $37.5 thousand in 2017. Aruba has a large and well-developed tourism industry, receiving over 1 million tourists who stayed overnight in its territory in 2018. About 3/4 of the Aruban gross national product is earned through tourism and related activities. Most tourists are from North America, with a market share of 73%, followed by Latin America with 15% and Europe with 8%. In 2018, there were more than 40,000 visitors from the Netherlands. There were many luxury hotels concentrated mainly on the west coast beaches. This area is also called high-rise area because most of the hotels are located in, by Aruban standards, high-rise buildings. Eagle Beach, a short distance from Palm Beach, offers hotels in a somewhat smaller and more intimate scale in low-rise buildings, hence the name low-rise area. Oranjestad is the port for many of the cruise ships that visit Aruba. The cruise industry is a very important pillar of tourism in Aruba, since during a cruise, a large part of the passengers go ashore to visit the island. With 334 cruise calls, Aruba received over 800,000 cruise tourists in 2018. Oranjestad is also home to several luxury hotels, upscale shopping malls, tourist-oriented shopping streets, and hospitality services. Aruba has a varied culture. In 2005, there were 92 different nationalities living on the island. Dutch influence can still be seen when in Aruba and the rest of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the King's birthday or Dadi Ray is celebrated. On 18th March, Aruba celebrates its National Day. Christmas and New Year's Eve are celebrated with the typical music and songs for Gaitas and the Dande for New Year. Feasts of Ascension and Good Friday are also holidays on the island. Its celebration in Aruba started in the 1950s, influenced by the inhabitants from Venezuela and the nearby islands Curacao, St. Vincent, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Martin, and Anguilla, who came to work for the oil refinery. Over the years, Carnival celebration has changed and now starts from the beginning of January until the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. Tourism from the United States has recently increased the visibility of American culture on the island, with celebrations such as Halloween in October and Thanksgiving Day in November. From the beginning of the colonization of the Netherlands until the beginning of the 20th century, the architecture in the most inhabited areas of Aruba was influenced by the Dutch colonial style and also some Spanish elements from the Catholic missionaries present in Aruba who later settled in Venezuela as well. After the boom of the oil industry and the tourist sector in the 20th century, and the architectural style of the island incorporated a more American and international influence. The architectural style of the island incorporated a more American and international influence. In addition, elements of the Art Deco style can still be seen in several buildings in San Nicolas. Therefore, it can be said that the island's architecture is a mixture of Spanish, Dutch, American, and Caribbean influences. Aruba Ports Authority, owned and operated by the Aruban government, runs these seaports. There were 3 sewage plants on the island. The first Europeans to visit Aruba were the Spanish. The first oil refinery in Aruba was built in 1928 by Royal Dutch Shell. The facility was built just to the west of the capital city, Oranjestad, and was commonly called the Eagle. Immediately following that, another refinery was built by Lago Oil and Transport Company in an area now known as San Nicolas on the east end of Aruba. The refineries process crude oil from the vast Venezuelan oil fields, bringing greater prosperity to the island. The refinery on Aruba grew to become one of the largest in the world.